Welcome to the Elk Talk Podcast with Welcome to the Elk Talk Podcast with Randy Newberg and Corey Jacobson. Presented by the Rocky Mountain Elk Foundation.
The goal is, what little you and I know about elk hunting, we share with people.
I've got an elk building. It's like 120 yards away. What do I do? First off, the thought would never cross my mind when an elk's being 120 yards away to call anybody on a cell phone.
All elk?
All the time? Only elk?
Only elk.
Well, it's us having conversations, so we usually go down some rabbit holes, but
If you hunt with Corey Jacobson, you will find the landscape is full of rabbit holes. We're just going to make this up as we go.
and you look at it like, oh, that's a target-rich environment. But if you're trying to single one out, a solo target there is much easier to go into than a big group.
We record everything, so there's no BSing, no lying, no faking it with us.
Did we hit the record
I thought I forgot to hit the record button. If you want to know something about elk hunting, this probably isn't the podcast to listen to. Should we give them a list of all the other podcasts where they might learn something? Well, this is a special treat. The three of us get together all at one time, and everyone's going to say, Randy, it's usually you and Corey. What do you mean, the three of us?
Yeah.
We got the world famous Dustin, the man, the guy who, the brains behind Mountain Tough. The reason I'm less of a fat desk driving, ice cream eating accountant.
You're the reason Randy just complained about missing 2 straight days of working out.
Did you ever think you'd hear that?
Never. Never.
Corey gives me so much grief about that now. He's like, oh, from the guy who used to say, oh, if you hike, that's enough. And now
He's pretty much a gym rat now.
I know.
Yeah.
Yeah, but you should have came and worked out today, Corey. You should have flown in earlier.
Yeah.
And you'd see they got me in this dark little corner of the you guys call it the lab over there,
Yeah.
Dustin?
Yeah.
And so I just kind of go over in my dark little corner. My white legs let everybody know that I'm over there.
That's why they have to turn the lights down.
Yeah. Yeah, I just do my own little thing. Like, don't anyone look over here. But I try to be there every day I can.
He hits play on the app, and it's Sarah's voice a lot of the time.
Yeah.
But then Sarah's also telling us what to do for the workout, so you just hear Sarah's voice all over the place.
Yeah, it's like an echo. Actually, now the last couple of weeks, I've just turned the volume down. It's like, all right, I've been through these enough. I know what she's telling me to do now.
Yeah.
And, but
You're consistent now. It's awesome.
yeah, now that I'm not traveling so much, it's been really helpful because even when I was traveling this spring and this winter, you know how crappy the gyms are at a hotel or wherever you end up at. I did most of my workouts in my room. I feel bad for the people who are underneath me.
Yeah. Yeah.
Randy's doing burpees and jumping jacks.
Yeah.
It works, though.
It does.
works.
It at least keeps you. What do you guys say? Some is better than none?
Yeah.
Something like that?
We talked about it this week at that ruck, but it's crazy how much consistency comes into play with fitness.
Yeah.
If folks were just consistent, I think that would be the game changer they're looking for. Even if it was pickleball, swimming, rock climbing, running, jogging, it's really the consistency that's one of the biggest factors for sure.
Yeah. Well, the one thing I realize is the more days I miss, like if I'm out of town or, had some appointment that ate up my day, I almost dread that. It's like, oh, man. Once you miss a step,
Yep.
Yeah.
the next day, like, oh, I'm going to pay for this.
Yeah. The soreness.
Oh, wow.
And after you get into that habit, that rhythm of just being consistent, you almost miss it. Those
Yeah.
days when you don't. Even days when I go shed hunting, it's like,
Yeah.
tomorrow was shoulders.
Yeah.
I'm going to miss shoulders tomorrow. So it's like, you're still going out and doing something, but it's just, you crave it almost because it does it. You feel good when you do it, and when you don't do it, you recognize, I missed something.
Yeah.
Yeah.
My wife pointed out this weekend that I don't sleep very well on the weekends. I don't know. It's because I don't
Missing
work
that
out.
workout.
So I don't know. Maybe I got to go on a hike or
Yeah.
something. Could be due to immense amounts of caffeine I drink in the morning and the weekends.
The pot of coffee.
Yeah, I allow myself an extra coffee on the weekends that I don't allow during the week. So maybe that's it. But anyhow, thanks for being here, Dustin. Appreciate it. Corey, thanks for coming all the way
Yeah.
to Bozeman
Well,
just to do a podcast with Dustin.
Well, you said Dustin was going to be in the studio, so I thought, well, I'm not going to be sitting here remote with headsets on. I'm coming to Bozeman.
Yeah. And Marcus came and set up the cameras, so we're actually filming this. I mean, if you didn't know better, you'd think we knew what we were doing here at the Elk Talk Podcast, but
They know better.
yeah. There you go. So Dustin, how was elk season last year?
It was good. Yeah.
Short and sweet?
It was short. Yeah.
Yeah.
We had a fun season. It was interesting because we had the dates blocked off to hunt with you
Yeah.
for a Fresh Tracks episode.
Yep.
We had a backcountry spot picked out that was going to be pretty gnarly. It was
Yeah.
going to be pretty gnarly getting back in there. But we had a full week blocked off in there.
Yep.
But then I talked to Randy and I said, hey, if I continue to elk hunt before these dates, am I allowed by Randy to shoot an elk before the Fresh Tracks filming week? And he said, yeah, if you see one, you can shoot one.
Yeah.
And so that's what happened.
Yeah, I saw a piece of phone footage from it. Looks like you guys were taking a nap or something.
It was one of the funnier hunts I've ever had for sure. Nate and I, it was just a weekday hunt. So we knew a spot where there would be some bulls bugling, and we'd been in there a lot of other times. And there's a nice little pocket where they're either there or they're not there. And it was take the day off work, cruise in there early, see what we can find. And sometimes in that spot, you're close enough to town that if they're not in there in the morning, you can still be back for a half day of work. And so it's one of those local spots. And we got in there in the dark, and right when we got into this spot, there was a lot of bulls bugling. There was two groups that had like a herd bull early on in the season though, where they have like 8 cows and then like 9 or 12 cows. And so they were bugling above us and then down below us. And so we ended up going after the herd that was above us, and we could tell that he was super vocal, but he was not going to move any closer regardless of cow calls or bugling. He was pretty content just like taking his cows to bed. And you could tell he was on the way to the bedding area and getting really close to bedding down where there was no way he's turning and coming the other direction. And so we decided to leave him alone because we knew if we kept messing with him, we were going to just booger the whole situation. So we backed off of him because we knew exactly where he was bedding down. So that was a good thing. And then right when we left him alone, the bull down low started lighting off again, and he was really hot for a second. So we dropped like 1,000 feet of elevation, and we got on that lower bull, and same exact thing happened to him, where right when we got there, he was taking his cows to bed. And so he wasn't going to move in our direction, but he was vocal for a hot minute, and then he started getting more quiet as he put his cows to bed. So we were on this spine ridge, and we knew almost exactly where this low bull had taken the cows to bed, and we knew almost exactly where the high bulls had taken his cows to bed. And so we were caught right in the middle between a bull with 9 cows and a bull with 9 cows above us and below us, which was cool, but it also was a situation where I was like, man, we really can't go anywhere at all now, because if we go anywhere at all, the wind is going to blow both or one of these groups out of here. Yeah. So we really couldn't go up, down, left, or right. And there was enough elk in the area that anywhere we went, we were going to blow something out of there. So now it's about 10, and so it's kind of early for the midday nap. But
The all important midday nap.
it's a little early for the midday nap. But I was like, well, let's just lay right here because we can't go anywhere or we're going to blow something up. And so Nate and I lay down. We eat a couple snacks out of our pack. And it was a pretty terrible nap spot also. You can kind of see it in the footage, but we laid in this tall kind of yellow grass, but then it had that, I don't know the name of it, but it's the loudest bush in the forest.
Oh, the balsam leaf.
Oh, yeah. It makes
balsam root.
Yeah.
Arrow leaf, balsam root, or whatever it is.
I mean, it's very, very loud stuff. So we lay in the kind of bushy yellow grass, and then I set my bow over here, like 3 feet to my right, and I set it right in one of those really loud bushes. And so then I start falling asleep, and I lay my head on my pack, and then I wake up. I've only slept for probably like 10 minutes, and I looked over at Nate, and Nate's playing around on his phone. He's like on Instagram or something. And then I looked back down the ridge, and there's a bull walking directly at us. And I was like, Nate, there's a bull coming. And he's like, what? And, well, the bull was already, the first time I saw it, it was probably like at 80 yards. And this bull looked like a whitetail in the middle of the rut where its nose is just down, and it's just like on a scent trail. And it looked exactly how a deer looks when it's rutting a doe, where they're just walking those scent trails. And now it's right in the middle of the day. It's 11 or noon. I look up, he's 80 yards away, and he's coming directly at us up the ridge. And so because Nate was playing on his phone, he just turned his phone and pointed at the elk and started the video. So luckily, I didn't have to wake him up or anything. He was ready to go. But the whole time in my mind, I was thinking, because I've been in similar situations before, and the first time you move, it's game over, in my experience. So usually just the movement of you seeing the elk turning your head is enough to stop it. And I was like, there's no way this bull is going to let me grab my bow. So I reach over, and my bow's stuck in that loud bush. It's like, and I was able to get it out of the bush. And in the video, you'll see that part, and it is so loud. Yeah. But that elk just kept coming, head down, right on a scent trail for a cow. And I was able to get the bow onto my chest, and I'm laying flat on my back. The only thing that's up is my head's still on my pack, but everything else is laid straight out. So now my bow is on my chest, and I was like, wow, I can't believe it's still walking. It's still walking. And thought for sure it would bust me there. And then I was like, oh, there's no way I'm going to get an arrow out of this quiver. So then I get the arrow out, and I have to bring it around, laying down on the front and knock it. So I get it knocked, and it's still walking up that trail. So Nate's still filming, still walking. I have an arrow knocked. I was like, and I actually was, how you get really nervous when a bull's coming in? I was not nervous at all because I was like, there's no way this is going to work. There's not a chance this will work. So I had no raised heart rate or anything, which was kind of weird because I just was convinced that this thing was going to bust at any second. Because we are in the wide open. There's no cover. We're in that loud grass. We're not surrounded by trees or anything. So now I have an arrow knocked. It's walking right up the trail. And now it's gone from 80 to 30 yards. And it's still walking just barely on my left. And now I'm surely when I draw, it's going to bust. Yeah. And so I have to, from my back, I have to draw and sit up, like a sit up while you're drawing at the same time. So I draw and sit up, and it does see me but it turns and stops, and it opens up its full vitals. It put its front leg forward, and the full vitals are open, and it's at 25 yards. And so I shoot, and we just see the arrow sink into the perfect spot. And I just fall back on my pack and just start laughing. I was like, out of all the hunts we've ever done, we have an elk walk into us in a nap and shoot it from napping, from laying down out of a loud bush. Nate happened to have his phone, so we were able to film it. And then it was just dead over the ridge, like 80 yards.
Wow.
But
Yeah.
it was cool.
So that is such an important elk hunting tactic, Dustin.
The naps.
Yeah, take the nap on the mountain, not back at camp.
Yeah, whenever.
Yeah.
You know, if it's 10 in the morning or 2 in the afternoon, it's still, you just validated one of my strategies. You ever have that happen?
I've never found a nap time I didn't like.
Yeah, you ever have an elk come in when you're napping?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah? Did you get him?
No. No. Usually it's exactly like Dustin said. See you as soon as you move.
Oh, yeah.
That loud bush is the only loud bush on the whole hillside.
Yeah.
But it's one I usually set my pack against. And then when I go to move it, they hear it. So
It was just like it was a young bull that helped, and he was so rutted up. He just was searching for that cow.
He was convinced.
the part that I find interesting about the whole story, though, was Randy's version before the hunt was a little different.
Was it?
Yeah. He said, Dustin is wanting me to go way back into this rugged
Yeah.
country,
Yeah.
and I'm trying to convince him to just hunt by town and shoot a bull before that hunt so I don't have to go.
He was encouraging it. Yeah.
Yeah. And so he kind of called me sort of apologetic. I'm like, don't be apologizing for that.
So we don't have to go. I mean, we don't get to go into that spot.
Yeah. Yeah, Dustin has sent me a few waypoints in hunt planning. Like, he just sent me some for bear hunting that we're going to do. And I'm thinking to myself, you know, there's still avalanche danger in May. Why we would go to a place that high, that steep, unless, I don't know, if black bears ski, do backcountry skiing, but of the waypoints he's ever shared with me, none of them look like the first place a 60-year-old accountant would put on the map.
We got to make it an adventure somehow.
Well, just me being there trying to follow along, I suspect is going to be an adventure for me. But
It's going to be awesome.
yeah, one time Marcus and I were in Wyoming archery. I had an archery elk tag, and it was so miserable hot. I found this little pocket. I'm like, let's just go sit in some shade down there. And all of a sudden, hear elk about a mile away bugling. And I'm like, I just laid under this tree. I took my boots off. I'm down to my socks. But I wasn't as smart as you, Dustin. I put my bow about 3 or 4 yards off to the side of me because I thought, man, if I get thrashing around here, I don't want to impale myself with a broadhead. So, and all of a sudden, a rock hits me. Marcus is waking me up. He's like, those elk are coming. I'm like, they're going to walk right past. There's a spring up there. They're going to go on the other side of that ridge. They're never coming up here. I go back to kind of thawing off a little bit, and all of a sudden, Marcus is like, get up. Here they come. And I look, and about 80 yards away, coming over the ridge, is a herd of 100 elk.
Oh, man.
Just clacking and banging on the rocks. And I sit up, and I'm like, well, this is going to spook them. Nope. And now they're kind of like hopping down through this rocks, like big boulders. And they get down in this little draw we're in. There's really hardly any trees. It's a big open, looks like a bowling lane all the way down to the right. And I look, I'm like, that is a lot of elk. And one of them's a really nice 6-point. Well, here comes a 5-point walking right up to us. And
Do you have your bow yet?
I'm trying to get it. So I'm doing the Dustin thing, but I got to scoop my butt a little bit. Fortunately, it didn't have all that noisy stuff, but it's just out of reach. It's past my hand. So now I got to kind of lay on my side, and I'm trying to do this, and Marcus is filming the whole thing. And the bull is just like, he stops. And he's like, what is that over there? And I'm like, he's so dumb and rutted up. He's, a 5-point would be like a 3.5-year-old.
Yeah.
I might pull this. I started getting excited. Unlike you, I'm like, yeah, I might pull this off. And for some stupid reason, I went when I took my nap, but did have my release on. I reach over there, and just as I grab my bow, he's like, I don't like this. And he trots down, and he stands there. Now he's at like 30 yards, and I'm sitting on my butt, and I'm trying to
Sideways draw
because he's way over to my right, and I'm right-handed. Yeah, I'm floundering, and they all take off running. And Marcus is like, I told you they were coming. Why didn't you get ready? I'm like, I didn't think they'd ever get here. And while he's filming me, I'm sitting there explaining why I didn't get ready with my bare feet.
Yeah.
It's like, so that one got away.
The nap spots, you never know. Some cool stuff can happen.
I am all in on naps. There's a guy, David Weiss. He's like trick skier. He's won 2 gold medals. And one time I can't remember if he's on a podcast or something, he's telling a story, and someone sent me the link. He said, yeah, I was just getting ready for a Randy Newberg style nap. I'm like, yeah.
You have a nap named after you.
So I'm all in on that napping stuff. I don't know that anyone's ever shot an elk in camp. Maybe they have.
I'm sure they have.
Oh, I thought you were not Corey. No. So I may as well sleep out there.
Well, part of it, yeah, you're out there. You don't have to come back and back again.
Right.
You never know what's going to happen, but just you don't have to put in those extra miles getting back out there again either.
Yeah.
In the middle of the day, and I've talked about it a lot, but that's my favorite time to hunt.
Is it?
The bulls go and they bed down. So in the morning, typically they're down lower elevation. They're moving up the mountain to bed because the thermals are still coming down.
Did you say the bulls or the wolves?
The bulls.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, the wolves do the same thing too. Yeah, so the bulls are moving up, and so you're following them all morning. And to try and get them to turn around and come into calls, it's pretty hard for a herd bull. So once they get to that bedding area, though, now the cows are bedding down, and a lot of times that bull will get kind of protective if you get in close and kind of push the right buttons, or like you did, just kind of back up a little bit and sit there and wait, because a lot of times in the middle of the day, those bulls they'll get up and go to water, they'll get up and go to a wallow, or they'll just get up and get restless and try to get a cow up. And so there's action in the middle of the day, especially, that 18th, 20th September through the end of September. They're pretty active. So.
Yeah.
Yeah, they go to get some water sometimes, and then those cows are separated from them. Then they get real fired up sometimes.
Yeah, and if you happen to get between a bull that's left his cows in the bedding area and let out a bugle,
he's going to be in your lap.
it can be magical.
Yeah.
But I wonder how many times it was you were describing that situation, Dustin, where you had some above you, some below you. And at 10 o'clock, you start getting these really weird thermals that no matter which way you go, something is going to probably smell you. Mm-hmm. And I wonder how many times I've been in that situation, and maybe there was an elk below me or above me that I didn't, maybe it wasn't that vocal, but because of that switching thermal, he just like, I think I'll head out of here.
Yeah.
I think sitting still probably, it doesn't get rid of your scent, but at least it minimizes your advertising to the world.
That's how we felt that day. It was like, man, we can't go anywhere without screwing this up. So let's just stay right here for a while.
Yeah.
See what happens.
So I took Dustin elk hunting after that to my spot. We walked in on a logging road, didn't need any llamas, nothing else, and we didn't even see a track all day. And the wind blew.
But how many naps did you get?
We took one.
Yeah.
Him and Nate, instantly, I know that they nap a lot because we come off this ridge to get out of the wind. The wind is screaming. And instantly, those guys picked the 2 best napping spots in this steep spot. They found the 2 flat spots. And me and my guy, Kyler, are like, well, I guess I'll sleep on this rock over here. You go lay in that brush pile. And
we've napped before.
Yeah, this was it was very obvious. I was not your first nap.
Pulled a self-inflating pillow out of their pocket.
So I went into this spot, and it was a learning lesson for me that just because a spot looks good and you see them there in November in the rifle season, doesn't mean they're going to be there in September. Yeah. I don't know that we didn't see a rub, we didn't see a track.
Nothing.
And we covered a lot of ground, bugled. I don't think it helped that the wind was blowing that hard, because when we got back to camp, Dustin's 14-man tent was gone.
We thought someone stole it.
They had all their gear in it, and it was gone.
We come around the corner, it's like, who would steal our tent full of all of our gear? Because it wasn't like it just barely blew a little bit. It blew off the side of the mountain. We had to hike down and get it.
Walking around looking for their tent. Finally, Dustin's like, oh, here it is. It's way down here.
All of our gear in there. There was like battery boxes in there, some heavy stuff. Still blew it off the mountain.
Yeah. So we packed it up. And then the real reason we didn't get one that day is I thought I could download Montana. Did you guys have e-tags in Idaho?
No.
We do in Montana. Well, I was going to download mine when I got out there. Come to find out, if when you buy your elk tag, you don't check the box to have an e-tag, you can't download it. So I climb up the hill, call my wife, honey, got a little problem here. I don't have an elk tag with me. You could just almost want to pull the phone away like, what? How stupid are you? I'm like, well, what are you doing tomorrow? Well, I got a doctor's appointment or something here. I don't know. Well, can you meet me halfway? So she got up in the dark. Met me halfway. I drove, and
we just waited.
Yeah, they had to wait.
Yeah.
Yeah, they cooked breakfast and lunch and whatever. So we did miss the prime period of any elk might be moving, because that's the first time I've ever forgot my tag. So I'm going to go with two guys. I've never elk hunted with them before, thinking, man, I got to be at my top of my game here. They hear me over there cussing, throwing stuff out of my pack like I'd never go anywhere without my paper tag either. Well, Kim, you see a paper elk tag laying around? Oh, yeah, it's right here on your coffee table. Why didn't you bring it with? So, sorry about that, Dustin.
It was all right. Because the coolest thing about that hunt, though, was the northern lights.
Oh, off the charts.
Maybe the best I've ever seen them.
Yeah.
We got set up, and we cooked some dinner. Randy made some mule deer spaghetti.
My wife made it.
Oh, yeah.
But we had
Randy warmed it up.
Yeah, we
did warm it up. Yeah. And the northern lights popped. They were unreal.
Yeah, I've never seen them like that in Montana.
Yeah.
Must have been the last week of September.
Yeah. I can't remember. Yeah, somewhere in there.
We had them too.
Oh,
they were up starving. Actually, it was the night that we ate backstraps on the rock.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah, the northern lights. And we didn't even realize it. John just set up a time-lapse camera and filmed us sitting there making the fire. Whole time northern lights just dancing in the background. And
yeah.
Pretty spectacular.
That was cool.
Yeah, that was cool.
But I did go back there in rifle season. I think I hunted 8 days in rifle season in there. The first day I saw 19 bulls.
No way. They do come in there.
And Jace, my camera guy, is like, you going to shoot one? I'm like, well, if we saw 19 already, that one in the lead, he's a nice 6-point, but he's not that big. I'd seen a bigger one, a much bigger one. And so passed on all those. That was stupid. Then I went back in there, and now the hunting pressure started showing up in a big way. And it just bumped all of the elk kind of to on those edges, those ridges I showed you, where if you go just over that ridge is private. And so I saw bulls every day in there in rifle season, and I never ended up firing.
I was just going to say, you passed up 19 bulls, and remind me how many you shot, or how big the one you shot was?
I packed him out in my back pocket. It's called the tag.
That E-tag.
Yeah, but it was a lot of fun. The one thing I learned, though, is this year there wasn't a lot of snow in there, so the people could drive ATVs on those roads, whereas normally there's so much snow that an ATV just spins out in there. And it had bumped all the elk further north and further west over on the private. And I ran into a guy there who I didn't know who owned that cabin up there. He owns it. And he's like, been seeing you in here a lot. You seeing anything? I'm like, yeah, I got an elk tag. And I see them, but they're all over on the private. He's like, yeah, I got an elk tag too. He said, in these low snow years, when people can buzz around on these ATVs, he said it's like they move just that extra half mile or whatever. Because he said, usually I shoot one right up here on the ridge. I'm like, yeah, I know. That's what I was counting on. And so I don't think I was the only one who was experiencing the same thing. But
Need some heavy snow.
yeah, just not necessarily to bring elk in there, but to keep ATVs out of there, because other than that one gate there, there's no, you can come in from all other directions, and I get it why people do it, but it definitely had an impact. And some people will now say, Neighbor, you're just coming up with excuses. Maybe I am, but there were a couple of really nice bulls in there this year. So, but oh well.
Yeah.
That's how it goes.
Yep.
I should have shot one in archery season if I wouldn't have left my tag at home sitting on the coffee table. Have you guys ever left the house without a tag?
When I was 14.
Oh, no.
Got all the way out there. First year I could drive. Had an old, 1983 Ford Bronco 2. Drove it out there. My mom let me take it for whatever reason on a Saturday morning. Got out there. I think it was opening day. And got out and realized I didn't have an elk tag with me.
Yeah.
So I left my bow and backpack and everything in the truck and took my bugle and hiked up the ridge and had bulls bugling and thought I will never forget my tag again.
I hope I don't, but senility might be part of my life now. I don't know. Maybe that's what I got to look forward to. My wife's going to wrap the tag around my finger or something now. Don't leave home without it.
Yeah, we're going to need a pre-check gear list
Pre-flight
with you.
checklist for Randy. No, I've never done that before, but I did that day. That was so embarrassing, too. It's like, he probably saw me over there behind the truck,
How do I
contemplating, how do I tell these guys we're going to miss the prime period? How do I tell my wife that I need you to drive 200 miles to meet me halfway, or however far it is, 100 miles?
Well, it started with you were trying to get your password reset to see if it was in your e-tag account. And he's like, which password is it? Well, oh, God. And we're like, what's going on, Randy? I can't reset my password.
Yeah. So, lesson learned. Anyone, if you do one of these e-tag things, I know they have it in New Mexico, and I know they have it in Montana.
I think Oregon has the option.
Yeah. Yeah. The reason I do it in New Mexico is for a few years, your e-tag would fulfill, it'd show your, hey, do you want to buy your conservation stamp if you drew? And the rest of the people had to wait. So I thought, I'm going to join the e-tag game. Haven't drawn anyhow, so it didn't really matter, but oh well. How that goes. But no, Corey's got all kinds of those sort of stories of hunting with me also, Dustin. There's a reason Corey doesn't invite me on archery elk hunts anymore. If you would have called him, he'd have been like, hey, Dustin, I don't
Make sure he's got everything.
Make sure he has broadheads in his quiver, because last time we went, he just had grouse points in there, and I should have known at that point what the hunt was going to turn into, but...
Yeah, but you and I and Lauren ate grouse every night.
Lots of grouse.
Yeah. And so my thought on that was I'm way more likely to get good food when I'm grouse hunting than when I'm elk hunting. But yeah, so Corey's done 2 archery elk hunts with me, back-to-back years, and then he never asked me again after that.
It wasn't back-to-back, was it? Were they really?
Montana was in 2015 and New Mexico was in 2016. Yeah.
It's been almost 10 years.
Yeah. And then he came up and did a rifle elk hunt in Montana one year. And I feel bad that we sent him on a goose chase. He's like, well, where are the big bulls going to be? Well, I didn't go there, but I sent him there. And he called me. He's like, we haven't seen an elk track. And I think we already had
I
two
saw
of
mountain
them.
goats.
Yeah, we had two of them on the ground about the time you had called. And they was like, where are you at? About 100 miles away.
And he sent us to a
Sidetracked
place
you.
there was like 30 inches of snow. We're in mountain goat country. And he's like, well, I've actually never seen elk there, but I sure thought there would be elk in there. And so I wanted you guys to go in and check it out.
No, that's not true. I shot 5 bulls.
We were doing his scouting for him, I think.
Well, I did draw the goat tag the next year. So,
Yeah.
hey, Corey, where did you say you saw those mountain goats
You
in
just
there?
were scouting for
Yeah.
it. Yeah.
Oh, you did see, how many mountain goats were there?
Yeah.
He was more curious about how many mountain goats we saw.
So, I guess the message to everybody is if you call and ask Randy for help in spots, you might get the Corey treatment.
Yeah.
You might be on a scouting expedition for me.
I felt really,
worst spot.
I felt really used though because he invited me.
So your guys' track record is not that great together.
No.
Oh, it's great.
Yeah.
Randy called the other day, and I told him I drew the Montana General tag this year. Mm-hmm. And he said, "Oh, well, I haven't drawn anything, so maybe I can come and cook grouse for you."
Yeah, I think that's what I said. I'm going to pull up the text here. I think I said something about, hey, if you need a camp cook or whatever.
So you guys might reunite.
Yeah, he sends me a screenshot. Successful Montana elk combo. And I say, good for you. I applied for a tag that had 90% draw odds last year. No dice for me. Might not be my year. And then I said, and since I didn't draw New Mexico, I have some openings to be camp cook or grouse killer when you're in Montana. But he didn't say.
What did I say after that?
It just like, I went on this tangent. Well, I didn't even apply for a limited entry tag. I messaged so-and-so yesterday and let him know I drew, and he said that he and I would discuss our plans.
He just ignored your question. Yeah.
I'm pretty sure I said something about I'm going to require more than just grouse for food this year.
Right, that's what you said.
Yeah.
I think it would be awesome if you could join us, because I'm going to require more than just grouse but I'm going to require more than just grouse.
We did that for 8 days.
So,
I'll be doing that again.
yeah. So
Oh, yeah. You guys did the no food hunt, didn't you?
Yeah.
is that good for your body?
Was that this year?
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know how good it is for my
Yeah, I'll tell you how good it is. It isn't. Yeah.
You said you're still having side effects from that.
Not necessarily from that, but just the whole situation of last summer. But yeah, no food is, you've got maybe 48 hours of energy. And after that, you're zero. I mean, your body just shuts down. It's like, if you aren't bringing in food, we aren't putting out energy. And
Wow.
so just hiking uphill by day 3, trying to hike up just 100 yards up a hill. We're stopping every 10 yards. Like, I can't catch my breath. There's no energy. Just feel weak.
Did you guys kill an elk?
On day 5.
Wow.
Yeah, I ate 6 elk steaks that night. And what's crazy is, even after that, I thought tomorrow I'm going to be running up. I still had no energy, no strength, because your body's used to carbs.
No carbs. Yeah.
And so, and I craved fat. We took fat off the elk and put it on a hot rock and melted it down, and then put the steak on it and cooked it. I ate the fat, like the big chunks of fat. I just grabbed. I couldn't get enough fat. My body was craving that fat.
Wow.
Crazy.
Huh.
That's crazy.
Have you ever been on a starvation plan like that before?
I haven't.
Me either.
I wouldn't recommend it. I remember. I think I lost 14 pounds, 12 or 14 pounds in 8 days.
You don't have 12 or 14 to lose.
I needed 12 or 14 pounds more of muscle to carry me up the mountain. I didn't need to lose it.
Man.
But there's some, I think Jeff Helm lost 19 pounds, 21 pounds, something like that.
Wow.
And they couldn't catch fish until I think the last day they finally caught some fish. They had rabbits on day 2. I think they killed 6 rabbits. And then other than that, they couldn't find food.
Wow.
That's crazy you guys did that.
Yeah.
I think they talk about taking 7 days for your body to go into ketosis.
Yep.
And then once you switch.
What is that? Ketosis?
Yeah, when you go no carbs, like if you go on the carnivore diet, your body is used to burning glucose right now for its fuel source. But when you eliminate carbs, your body can burn ketones for its fuel source, but they say it takes about 7 days to switch from a carb burning system to a ketone burning system.
Okay.
So after 7 days of only eating meat, you should start to feel different as your body burns ketones. But you almost have to be out there longer to feel that switch.
Wow.
Yeah. And you can't eat any carbs during that time. Otherwise, your body is like, oh, there's glucose, so I'm going to use that. And then it starts kind of the process over.
Yeah.
So that's why if you're on, carnivore, keto, any of those no carb or low carb diets, if you splurge and have a cheat day, it doesn't just reset the next day. It kicks you out and you have to go through the process again.
Really?
So.
Well, I knew there's a reason I didn't do any diets. I've never been on a diet in my life. People are probably like, that shows. Right? We knew that. He didn't have to.
Randy used to brag about working out just the same way. I've never been in a gym a day in my life. And now look at him.
Now he's just a junkie.
Yeah.
No, I'm mostly just there because I kind of go in my corner and veg out and get away from cell phones and computers. And there's a lot of mental health in that.
There's a lot.
There is. I mean, I know we're kind of joking about it, but I just know my mental health of having a period of time in a day where, you know what, I'm doing Bulgarians or whatever it is. I'm just thinking about hunting or thinking about, I don't have any distractions. I don't know if it's a physical form of clearing your mind also or just the mental part of it, but it's helpful for me.
The mental part's huge. Yeah.
I mean,
Working out, all the stuff you can kind of clear your head. You get a lot of really creative ideas when you're working out. Hunting
I'm
ideas.
not the only one.
Business ideas. Yeah.
And energy, just the energy after you work out to go and implement those ideas.
Yeah. No, these guys here, I'm sure the crew, they're just like, I wish he didn't start working out. He comes back, he's got 45 different ideas. He rattles off 6 more new ones that we've never heard of before. But I do, I get that. I don't know if it's creative or what it is, but when my mind clears like that, it's like, that's how we're going to solve that. That's what we're going to do. And unfortunately, the 7 other people here are like, oh, great.
More ideas.
Come up with this idea. Let's stuff him in a different corner this week or something. But it's really helpful for me.
Yeah. I think you get like the dopamine release, and then so you're getting a lot of endorphins as you're working out.
Okay.
But I think also just in today's world too, more than ever before, we're getting bombarded by different forms of media 24/7. And if you can get into that flow state of your workout, you get a lot more clarity. And through that clarity, you're getting a lot of good ideas.
Yeah. Yeah, it's funny because just today when I was over there working out and I'm doing these, I don't know, single knee, whatever.
That's your arm.
But you get on one knee and then you're doing this with a dumbbell.
Doing the single knee lift as he's moving his arm.
I'm thinking about something. And I look, and Sarah's already got us switched hands and we're done with. I'm like, no wonder my shoulder was getting so sore. I hadn't switched.
Spaces out and does 100 reps on one arm.
So instead of doing 30 seconds or 45 seconds on each side, I did almost a minute and a half on the other side. But my mind was somewhere else in it. It just.
Yeah. You need that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that's healthy for me, I think.
Yeah, I think for a lot of people, physical exercise becomes more mental than physical at a certain point.
Yeah.
That's why Randy and I were talking on the drive over here. Just, going to the gym is important, but it doesn't take the place of being in the mountains. Mm-hmm. Like there's strength can be achieved in the gym, but toughness comes from the mountain. Mm-hmm. And I think obviously being in the gym gives you a leg up when you get on the mountain. But there's just, we were even talking, there's people I know that have never stepped in a gym and wouldn't even know what to do in a gym.
Yeah.
Or why is that bench there that could run circles around any of us in the mountains? But with that being said, with our lifestyles, we don't get to be in the mountains every day. So the gym creates not only the strength and, the physical ability, but that mental.
Yeah.
There's a toughness that comes from being in the gym, a mental toughness. Hey, I can push my body a little harder and it responds. And that gives you confidence when you're in the mountains.
I would say the thing that helped me the most is, I'll call it the functional strength that I got with you guys, was about my balance and just things that are more applicable to hunting with a pack than just, benching. How many reps can I do, or how much can I do? And those are all great for people who, if they don't really have a functional purpose for why they're working out. It was huge for me. And you heard Marcus talk about it the other night at that thing we had over there.
Yeah.
When you asked Marcus for any input on what he saw, I'm like, oh, this could be bad. Marcus he's a purveyor of truth. he doesn't really beat around the bush. And so Dustin put him on the spot and said, Marcus, last year, did you notice anything with Randy? And he was polite about it, without saying how bad I was before. So, but I do think the purposeful, this exercise is for those times when you're side hilling or you're carrying a heavy load. Like, no one had ever had me put a pack on, get on a 15-degree incline on a, what do you call them, a treadmill, I guess, and go backwards.
Yeah.
I'm like, what is this for? Well, when you start walking down a mountain with a heavy load, you'll be glad you've been doing these ones. No, so the things that you guys had me do were very applicable to the activity of what elk hunting in the mountains was going to be.
It's that mission specific, which that was always kind of our founding idea, was no one's training a mountain hunter specifically to be better at mountain hunting. And that's the magic of what all people are doing across the world with kind of elite level professional training. So if someone's playing professional football in the NFL, they have a strength coach that's coaching them, but they're coaching them specifically for the position they play on that team. And so they break down the skill requirements of an offensive lineman, and they decide what they need to really excel at to be the best in the world. And they train just to that skill. And then they train the quarterback differently and the wide receiver differently, but they're all doing mission-specific training. And that's what's happening in all professional sports, all Olympic sports, all the military, is you're training to be really good at the thing you want to be really good at. But for the longest time, hunters were not training, or they were training not mission specifically.
Yeah, just whatever they had as the course down at the local gym.
Yeah, they would lift heavy, which has its benefits, but then they would not have enough cardio for the backcountry, or they would just do cardio, which has its benefits, and then they would not have like that really strong chassis to handle a super heavy pack on a solo backcountry hunt.
Yeah.
So really all Mountain Tough did was decide we're going to train hunters mission specifically, and that's been the biggest game changer. But I think what we've seen lately for sure is, I think everyone that gets past kind of their youth sporting days, so once you're done with high school and
long past that, but
I think what we all want once you're done with high school or college sports, what we all really are striving for is longevity. Yeah. And longevity is the most important thing that we can be pursuing, especially as hunters, but even not as a hunter. We've all seen people that have not taken care of their bodies, that are in even their late 50s or early 60s, that have a difficult time getting up football stadium bleachers at a big game.
Yeah.
And I think that it's going to obviously impact where and how we can hunt, but it also is going to impact what we can do with our kids, what we can do with our grandkids.
Everyday life.
Yeah. So if we can just move the needle on longevity, that's the most important thing. And longevity really connects to functional fitness, but it also really connects to being really wise about how you're training, because we don't need to ruin our joints, or we don't need to ruin our back trying to lift really heavy weights. We need to focus on being functionally fit for as long as we can in life. So that kind of combined with mission specific for hunting has really kind of become our style.
And I wish there was, when we were growing up, nobody talked about that. The weight room was for the football players and the wrestlers, and it was all heavy weights, heavy lifting, strength. I started shooting a bow when I was 8, and I shot thousands and thousands of arrows to the point that it built up the right side of my back and twisted my spine because the left side wasn't doing anything. So I've had, back issues, neck issues, just from starting shooting a bow so young and not doing any workout, any fitness to compensate for it. And so, even like the core, nobody talks about, well, I mean, now they do, but back then nobody talked about core. If somebody said core, it was like, oh, do sit-ups, that's your abs. There's a lot more to core than just abs. And it's so important for stability and balance and strength, under load. And
Yeah, it's changing.
So, Dustin, how old are you?
I'm 42.
Corey, how old are you?
49.
I'm 60. So to hear you guys talk about this stuff, all that's going through my mind is just wait.
Yeah.
And here's the funny part about that. When I was 40 or 35 and I'd hear these guys in their 60s like, oh, I can't believe this is, where did this come from? I thought, what a bunch of candy. Is that all you do? You get up and complain about what hurts? And now I'm paying for that. Like I was telling you guys before we started recording, when I was doing my push-ups on Saturday, my wife thought I was cracking my knuckles.
Yeah.
Playing football in high school, I tackled this guy, and the whole pile rolled over on us, and my arm is stuck underneath him, and this whole pile's coming. And pretty soon, I feel my shoulder somewhere up around my ear. Ooh. And I'm just screaming, and I run over, and the coach, he's just like, pulling on it, and kind of pushing, and all of a sudden, boop, it went back into joint. But it was never the same after that. And I never have been to I have some ortho CPA clients, and they'll see me, I can't throw a ball, and they're like, we can fix that for you. I'm like, yeah, I know, but you told me it's six months of immobility, and so I've never done it. But yeah, so all these things you don't you don't take care of along the way. I'm here to tell you folks, all you young people, take care of those things. Like when I detach my posterior tibial tendon, which is on the arch of your foot, it goes to the arch underneath the ankle and comes up the back of your heel. I didn't have any money as a starved out youngster, so I waited a few years to get it fixed. Well, now I got one Fred Flintstone foot because the arch collapsed. They don't have any arch. It's fat and long, and it's like plump. You should hear me run. You hear tap, plump, tap, plump.
Hence the reason they put Randy in the dark corner at the gym.
Oh, yeah.
There's a long list of reasons. That's one of them.
But all those things add up over time. And, Marcus just detached his patellar tendon. And I know how he approaches things. He really doesn't have a lower gear. It's like 0 to the speed limit. And he's usually at the speed limit. And I worry that he's going to push it. And if he messes that up, I'm trying to tell him, yeah, you might be able to get it repaired again or whatever, but this is something that could last for the rest of your life. And as you get older, you're going to understand why your dad complains about the sore neck or the numbness in his wrist.
Yeah.
It's because he probably did some of those things along the way and didn't take care of them, whether it was through surgery or just through fitness and exercise. Like when you said that, Corey, about your other side twisting you that way, that would have never entered my mind.
It didn't enter mine until I was 25 and done playing college basketball and got my back tweaked and went to the chiropractor, and they did x-rays, and they're like, have you ever had like a major injury or nerve damage on your left side? Because your left side's completely undeveloped and your right side is like fully developed, and it's twisted your spine. And
Man.
So I was like, well, here's the motion that I did a lot. And like, those are the muscles that are developed. And you didn't do it with your left arm. And I'm like, I can't shoot left-handed. Like, well, you should have been doing weights or at least a band or something to develop that left side.
Those asymmetries.
Yeah. So I mean, my right shoulder still, and I've been working for 2 years on symmetry, and my right shoulder still sits lower than my left because of the muscle developed in the right side, pulls it down, and there's nothing on the left side. So
Really?
I do about 20% more on the left side than I do on the right side now, just trying to balance things out. And I mean, it's a trickle thing. You know, you fix one area and it just goes to the next weak area, and then your low back hurts, and then your hips are offset. And so, I mean, it's so important, you know, and young kids. Sam came home one day, I think freshman year, and he was talking about how much weight he could squat. Like, there's no way you can squat that much weight. And so we went out in the garage, and he bent over, rounded his back, and I'm like, whoa, stop.
Yeah.
I'm like, just do a body weight squat. Keep your back straight, put your chest out, and he couldn't do a body weight squat, but he could squat all this weight on a rack and
All rounded up.
yeah. And I'm like, you're gonna blow something out doing that. And so I think just form is so important to teach, especially younger kids and youth, and get them in the habit of doing things with the right form, because you can compensate and you can put weight up on a bench, you know, trying to do a bench press or something. You can use all sorts of bad form to get more weight up, but you aren't working the muscles you're supposed to be working.
Yeah.
Well, the ones that helped me the most, and this has been even going back when I went to a lot of physical therapists because I had so many back problems sitting all the time. And she's like, well, it's because your core is weak. And here's all the things you're going to do to make sure your core is better. What, do you think I got time for this one? Well, she was wonderful about it. And she got me one of those ab rocker things. And then she made me do not just the rocking thing, but I didn't let myself watch TV unless I was in my ab rocker. And then I do, you know, golfers, what do you guys call them? Golf stretches.
Stretch, yeah.
And all kinds of different things. And just by doing those few things every day, I haven't had back pain for 20 years. And then I think about how much stronger my core is in the last year of all the things you guys make us do with planks and side planks. And it's like, what's the deal with this asymmetrical, like...
Suitcase carry?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. That's all core.
Yeah. It hurts. But when I throw a pack on now, it's like I don't feel like the top of my body is wobbling, or if I lean forward too fast, my back's going to go out or whatever. And I would say the things I notice the most at my age now are just keeping, there's no reason I can't at least do the core exercises, the planks and the other stuff, because I don't need any equipment for that. So those are ones I get done every time I travel, and it makes a world of difference for me.
What's a suitcase carry? So like a farmer's carry, but with one?
Yeah, it's a farmer's carry with one side loaded, other side not loaded. So your whole core has to fire to keep you stable.
Yeah, by the time you're done, you got like an orangutan arm.
I'm pretty sure you're supposed to turn around and go back the other way with it in the other arm.
Well, yeah.
Unless you're daydreaming again.
Yeah. Walking around the gym all day long.
Walking in a circle.
No wonder my
Been doing a right arm all week.
My draw length is now an extra 2 inches. But no, I like to talk about these things in the reflective way that maybe I am. People are like, Randy, you're getting old. You sound like grandpa. But I made a lot of stupid decisions along the way where I could have got more out of some hunts. I probably would have challenged myself a little bit more, but I never made the investment in what it took to get to that. Just little things that would have made a difference. Now I have regrets, but I can't get those back. You don't get those hunts back.
No.
Every hunt that you have on your calendar, make the most out of that hunt because you don't get it back.
Yeah.
For whatever that bit of advice is worth. But
yeah, I think you have to live that way and think that way, because it is, I think most of us think that we're going to make it to 70 or 80, but the reality of that is that's not guaranteed. And, we've all had friends that have died in their 40s and their 50s.
Yeah.
And those friends die thinking they're going to make it to 80 just like we do.
Yeah.
And then a car wreck gets them or cancer gets them. And I think we have to take full advantage of these opportunities we've been given, and being in the best shape mentally or physically is important to making sure that happens, because we're not guaranteed to make it to 80. We just never know.
Right. I mean, you deal with all that Lyme's disease stuff, Corey, all the complications you've had from that. That's got to make it harder mentally and physically.
It does. And that's, I mean, honestly, I have to work out. If I don't, it just, it makes everything worse. So it's motivation, but at the same time, every day I wake up and I don't want to work out. Like it's a catch-22 there. But yeah, I mean, I think everybody has obstacles and everybody's got challenges they deal with, and that's just mine. But fortunately, it's like working out. There's so many benefits to your lifestyle outside of hunting. For me, hunting is the motivation to work out. Mm-hmm. And I think that's where a lot of people, that's what gets us up and going. And it's like, I got to work out for elk season, but the benefits go way beyond that 1 week or 2 weeks that we hunt elk. It changes your life. So.
Yeah. Tons of benefits.
Yeah. So you guys got some big sale going. Since we're on the topic and we want to convince these people they should check you guys out and become the next Randy Newberg. That's a pretty low bar to
Don't
clear.
set your aspirations that low.
Good thing we had that on video so you could see the sarcasm in my facial expression. But don't you guys have something coming up early May of 2025?
Yeah, we have the spring runoff sale. Yeah. Right when this is launching. So
do you got to run?
No, you don't have to run.
Okay.
It's just the name of the sale.
Oh, okay. It wouldn't be a sale if you didn't put a name with it, huh? Couldn't have the May 1st through 10th sale or something like that? Gotta
Spring
have a
sale.
Yeah.
Spring runoff, yeah.
So what do they do there?
mountaintough.com.
Okay.
And then when they click start free trial, they'll see the sale right on there.
Okay.
It's a good deal. It's 40 or 45% off. So it's one of the better deals they'll find throughout the year.
Wow.
And then it gets them going on mission specific training, which is perfect. And I think we've seen this over and over again, where most individuals listening to this show definitely have a passion for hunting, a strong interest for hunting, a passion for elk hunting. So if you're going to do training, you should train for that, because that specialization makes all the difference in the world. Where just the other day we had a guest in town for the Mountain Tough podcast, and he's a brown belt in jiu-jitsu, and he absolutely destroyed me in jiu-jitsu, and I was so out of breath and covered in sweat in about 2 minutes. I thought I was going to die. And I was like, I've had this happen before, but it's always a shock when you do something that you're not training for versus something you are training for. And so then we were able to run him through a Mountain Tough workout and then take him up the mountain, and he absolutely got destroyed. And we've seen that over and over again, where it's like you can only be good at so many things. And if you want to be good at elk hunting, you want to be better at elk hunting, you should train specifically for that. And getting in on this sale is a great way to do that with Mountain Tough. And not only, all the physical programming is going to be in there for beginners, intermediate athletes, elites, people with no gear, full gear, minimal gear, heavy pack, weight vest. There's really now in Mountain Tough, there's something for everyone, every fitness level and every age and every person based on their requirements for equipment. So on the road, off the road, the amount of content that is in there now is really, really robust, but it's also going to have mental training, mindset training, and nutritional training. So it's kind of like a Netflix subscription for the mountain hunter when it comes to their holistic training approach.
I'll go there and do it, people. Or else.
And they even have one for 60 plus, right?
It's 50 plus.
Oh, 50 plus? Okay.
Well, we had to reshoot so many of those last summer. I told Sarah, I said, we don't have too many more months before this is going to have to say 60 plus. Because I'm turning 60 this hunting season. And she's like, oh, we'll get it done. We'll get it done. But
the PP 59 and a half preseason prep.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, you guys make fun of me all you want. But Corey could testify that I'm actually working on packing loads and stuff. I picked him up at the airport a little bit.
I would grab his backpack and throw it out of the way. I'm like, I couldn't even move it. I'm like, what do you have, weights in here? He's like, exactly.
Yeah.
Just carrying them around.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, it's trying to replicate, back to your point, specifically what I do when I'm out hunting. If I'm going to go for a hike, I'd rather go for a hike. And when I go off trail and I have to bend underneath that log, or that down tree or whatever, step over a log, I want to have to do it with 40 pounds in my pack. Mm-hmm. My day pack usually isn't that heavy. It's less than that. But it's just trying to replicate that same thing. So
That's smart.
Yeah. I'm not into big loads anymore. You guys have told me some of the loads you guys have carried before. I'd never done that in my life.
I swore I'd never pack an elk out in one trip again, and cameraman John last fall convinced us to do it. Halfway back to the truck, I'm like, hey, you're taking my pack the rest of the way. You're the one that made us do this. You come get my pack and carry it. Let me carry yours.
That's brutal.
And he did, thankfully, because, man, it's heavy.
Yeah, that's heavy.
I don't know how you would do that. That's
or
foolish.
Why.
Yeah, or why. Yeah. I remember one time carrying a front and a hind quarter, bone in. I'm like, this is the dumbest thing I've ever done. I've done a lot of dumb things. I did so many dumb things I got thrown in jail in Mexico even, but this is dumber than what I must have done that day. And my body, it took forever for my body to seem normal again. I think I was 40, 42, something like that when I did that.
It's those high-risk things.
Yeah. And now I think about it, it's like, what if I would have messed something up doing that? I don't know what this was a young bull. This is a 5-point. So what's that, a 3.5-year-old bull? It's like, if he would have been a 8-year-old bull, I'd be dead up there in the Madison range.
Fractured disc or something. Yeah.
And so now I'm of the opinion that, you know what? I'll carry a quarter at a time. And with the front quarter, maybe I'll throw a back strap in there. But just the damage in the recovery period it takes me anymore, it is just, it's not worth it.
And that's the thing. You don't realize at the time the damage you're doing. It's several years later that you realize all those trips with 120, 140 pounds on my back for 4 miles, when my core wasn't ready for it, when legs, hips, everything, you can do it. You can grind through it and power through it, but it's causing damage that chain reaction is going to hit at some point.
Yeah. You see it all the time. And that's what gets you at the longevity side. The good example is like the NFL athletes that were absolute beasts in their 20s and 30s. Mm-hmm. And now the amount of life-altering injuries they have is crazy. I mean, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11 surgeries just trying to, make it through their 40s and 50s. We don't want that stuff to happen to us as elk hunters, right. And you can get in some dumb situations when you're young that can cause some of those same injuries.
Yeah. Well, I'm just at that point where I want to get as much as I can out of every remaining hunt. And I wish I would have adopted this attitude 25 years ago, but, stupid is as stupid does, right? And so I didn't. But now, and I'm sure some people who listen to our podcast or some of my other stuff are like, Randy, I am so tired of you. You act like you're some gospel purveyor of getting in shape for elk hunting. And it's not so much that I don't care if people ever, or if I necessarily even shoot another elk. I want to, but the benefits I'm getting just out of my quality of life, and I know it's so gradual to lose it, right? It's like, oh yeah, next month I'll start this. And okay, that year you gain 3 more pounds. Well, for 10 years in a row, if you gain 3 pounds a year, you gain 30 pounds. not good. I mean, what that was doing to my joints, my hips were starting to hurt more. I wasn't sleeping well. And I try to balance the sounding like I'm on some missionary zeal with, I sincerely want everyone else to have the benefits that come with having some reasonable level of fitness for your life.
Yep.
Yeah.
Whether it's elk hunting or the other things in your life, and not be that NFL athlete who by the time they're 40, have you seen those videos of Earl Campbell? I mean, if you ever, you guys are too young to remember.
Must have been one of the players that played with the leather helmets.
No. Earl Campbell, the Rose of Tyler, Texas. You need to go Google Earl Campbell. He was like, do you guys remember Marshawn Lynch?
Yeah.
Beast Mode?
Yeah.
He was the precursor to that, 10x beyond Marshawn Lynch.
Like what year are we talking?
We're talking in early 80s.
Oh.
Okay.
Boy, they interviewed him like 15, 20 years ago. He can't walk.
Yeah.
He has a walker. And like, wow. And he's just like, I had no idea that I was going to have all these injuries and aches and pains. And it's like, packing 120-pound loads, Corey.
I know.
Yeah, okay.
No, it's not smart.
So is this an oath that you won't do that again?
I hope. I would rather not.
That didn't sound real committal.
Here's the dilemma. You get there and you look and you've got all this meat hanging.
Yeah.
And it's like, I'm already wore out. Mm-hmm. I'm going to pack it clear back down the mountain to the trailhead.
Yep.
Come back.
And then I've got to hike clear back up the mountain and do it again, or I can just suffer through it one time. And I always tend to go, I'm going to suffer through it one time. But I'm getting better. I tried last year. It was my idea to make 2 trips. And John said, that's not that far. We can do it in one.
Okay.
But John's still young.
Okay. Yeah. You ever do any of those kind of things, Dustin? You probably would be suited for it.
Yeah. He can probably do it and not get injured.
I've done it, yeah, but I always regret it a little bit.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't want anyone to have a long-term injury of any sort that slows them down from the things that they love.
Yep.
And I've got enough short-term injuries that I've been in the short-term mode for the long-term, I guess. But
notice in the text Randy sent me, he said, I can come and cook and hunt grouse for you. He didn't say anything about help pack elk.
No.
Nothing. It was like, I'm going to stay in camp.
No, I'm going to show up with my job description. Corey, that's not on my job description. I think you and John are going to have
do
to
not disturb around his neck. And every time we come back, and hey, we got meat to pack. Yeah. Do not disturb.
Naps.
Yeah.
He'll be napping.
Yeah. So Dustin's taking notes. He's like, is this what I'm in for with this bear hunt here in 3 weeks?
The bear hunt's going to be fun.
I'm bringing llamas. You know that, right?
I know that. Yeah.
Okay.
I saw Randy at the gym and asked if we could jump those llamas out of a helicopter.
Yeah.
He said no. I was like, come on.
Bo brought him down the Salmon River in a jet boat.
Wow.
Yeah. Yeah, he's got this picture of Mac. Is it Mac or is it Quigley? In the back of a jet boat. I'm like, what are you doing? Well, we had to get him across a river.
Hey.
Yeah, I'm not going any place where they got a parachute in there. Or put him in a jet boat. My dog paddling skills aren't that good to start with. I don't need to be trying to outswim a llama that's going for his safety. But so, hey, I don't know if we've covered anything related to elk hunting.
Oh, we have. More than we usually do. We actually had a topic.
Yeah.
Naps.
You should listen to some of our tangents we get into, Dustin. I told the story about trying to blow up the train bridge when I was a kid.
We've talked about just about everything but elk hunting.
Yeah. Yeah, my wife was asking me to list all the concussions I had in my life. And when I got to been knocked out 12 times, she's like, stop, I don't need to hear anymore. And
everything's fuzzy after this one point. So there may have been more after that.
Yeah. And She said, "Are you going to talk about that on your podcast?" I'm like, "Well, maybe someday. I don't know."
Scribbling it down.
Yeah,
Remember to talk about concussions.
And the audience will be like, "That explains a lot."
Yeah. The tangents. They're TBIs.
Yeah. Did you draw any Montana permits?
Just general
Yeah, me
deer
too.
and elk.
Yeah. Corey,
Me too.
Corey
Just
drew a general, but he beat the odds. We thought he had a 0% chance. And then the audience is like, "Hey, you knucklehead. If he bought another point, he'd skip the 1 point sandwich and he's got 2 points this
Yeah.
year." So,
Evidently, when you buy you apply and you select that you want a point, it adds that point to your application. So
yeah. I thought it only did it for the limited entry tags. So there
That's
you go.
cool.
I went in
Don't-
and
don't
checked my
call-
account, and it said applied for the general combo license with 2 points.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Yeah, guess what I drew in New Mexico?
Nothing.
Yeah. I must have told you already. Or you just
did.
knew. Oh, okay. Well, pretty soon we got Utah, we got Nevada, we got Oregon, got Wyoming.
Wyoming results?
Yeah.
Oh, finally.
May, I don't know, about a month from now.
In May.
I can't wait to get my interest back on the investment I made there.
The way my stock portfolio has done the last 3 months, I'm glad Wyoming's been holding
That's
on to my
true.
money.
20% gain over the rest of my investments.
Yeah, my wife's like, "Can't you apply for some more tags rather than put it in the stock market?"
And you get that refund, you get 100% back most of the time.
Yeah, right. Well, honey, I had to pay a 2% transaction fee just to set that aside where I couldn't blow it in the stock market.
It isn't bad right now.
But we're all blessed to live in places where we can buy that over-the-counter elk tag.
Oh, man.
I never take that for granted. And if there's one good thing about traveling and doing shows in all these other states, like I did the RMEF event in Reno about a month ago, did some shows in Oregon, Washington. You do the show in Utah, and you talk to these people. They draw an elk tag every 10 years or
they're
12
lucky.
years. And
Yeah.
I hope those people who live in the states, Montana, Idaho, Wyoming, Colorado, where as a resident you can go and get your elk tag, I hope you appreciate that.
Yeah.
And I hope you do
Fight to
everything you
keep
can
it.
to keep it that
Yeah.
way.
That's a huge deal.
Yeah.
Just the experience alone
Yeah.
of going multiple years in a row
Yeah.
that you wouldn't be able to get would be difficult.
Yeah. I mean, what we get to do, Dustin, you were talking about, some days I could just go hunt in the morning. I do the same thing. I'll go out for a morning. And what I got to do that morning, listen to an elk bugle or blowing a stalk or whatever, there are people who live in other states who that would be their season.
Yeah.
That would be the highlight of their hunting year.
Yep.
And I can go do it before
Or
work.
And they might wait 10 years for that moment.
Yeah.
We're really lucky.
Yeah. And so I think that's why this podcast, Corey, we're always advocating for more elk on the mountain, keep those things intact, and
Yep.
let's stay
More
blessed.
access to public land,
Yeah.
Yeah.
more opportunities.
Yeah. So I don't think anyone's ever said, "Gee, I get to hunt elk too much."
Oh, I don't know. There's been a few times when I was ready for season to be over. But
Really?
like last year when we didn't have food for
Well, yeah, that's self-imposed.
Like I am ready for this hunt to be
I know
over.
some spouses who probably said, "Boy, I wish elk season was over."
I don't know. I think the longer you're married, the longer they want elk season to last.
No, that's
You have
absolutely
another hunt
true.
planned?
So I've been on the road pretty much nonstop since Christmas. And now I got done traveling 10 days ago. Over the weekend, my wife was like, "Well, I got to go to Oregon for a couple weeks." I'm like, "Honey,
Now she's going somewhere.
yeah." I'm like, well, I just finally got home.
Yeah. She's like, I didn't leave a day the whole time you were gone, and now that you're back, I need a vacation.
Yeah. Yeah. And so she sees their bear hunt on the calendar. She's like, "Well, I'll probably come back a day or so before your bear hunt, and then we can kind of check in and, see who checked the mail or whatever." I'm like, "Well, then I'm going to be gone on a bear hunt, and then the next week I'm going to be doing a bunch of roadshow stuff." "Oh, well, that's all right." I'm like, huh. Maybe there's the underlying message there that my decoder doesn't understand that well.
Too many concussions.
But no, I just feel so lucky that we get to elk hunt. And I think for all of us, it means so much to us that there's not enough money to get us live somewhere where elk hunting was a once a 10-year event.
No.
It just, not for me.
Not interested.
Yeah. So, anything else for the good of the order? We forget anything, Dustin?
I don't think so.
No?
Good.
Go to mountaintough.com.
Mountaintough.com.
Yeah.
Yeah, MTNTOUGH.com. Click start free trial. Take advantage of that spring runoff sale.
Yeah. 40, 45, 50, free.
Yeah.
There is a free trial.
We don't have to give them a code or anything. They just get that, right?
Yeah, they'll just
Usually
get that.
we give people the Elk Talk code, but this is even a better deal than the Elk Talk code.
Yep, this is better. And it'll be right there when they click start free
Well,
trial.
now people are going to email us after the spring runoff and say, well, can't you get us that deal with your Elk Talk code? Well, our code's going to wither away.
I don't think so.
Okay. All right. Well, thanks. Appreciate it, guys.
Yeah, thanks guys.
Thanks for being here, folks.